Hello all, welcome back to Metis IAS Academy. Now, coming to the constitutional amendment bill, continuing with now, now let us assume there is a constitutional amendment bill that is affecting federal provision. For example, we spoke about the seventh schedule having union list, state list, and concurrent list. Now, let us assume there is a subject in the state list. Example, agriculture. So, if the constitutional amendment bill proposes to move this agriculture from state bill to the center bill, now this bill is going to impact federal provisions, right? Now, in those cases of the constitutional amendment bill, that is, if the bill seeks to amend the federal provisions of the Constitution, along with special majority, this bill must also be ratified by the legislature of half of the states. That is, how many states are there in India? 28 states are there in India. That is more than 28, sorry, more than half of 28. That is at least 15 states has to give their approval for this constitutional amendment. That is, in the parliament, it is going to get passed through what majority? Through special majority. And not just that, if it is going to affect the federal provision, along with it is passing through the parliament in special majority, it also has to pass through more than half of the state legislatures, more than half of the state legislatures, more than half of the state legislatures. If it is if it is affecting the federal provisions, it has to be ratified by more than half of the state legislatures. But this ratification by more than half of the state legislatures can be done through simple majority. But why is it important? To show that the states also have a say in amendments that directly impact their constitutional powers and structures. In simple words, for constitutional amendments that is not going to impact federal provisions, only a special majority is sufficient. But for constitutional amendment that is going to impact the federal provisions, what is important is it has to be passed through special majority in both the houses of the parliament separately, plus it has to be ratified by more than half of the state legislatures through simple majority. Now, let us assume this constitutional amendment bill is passed by Lok Sabha. It is also passed by Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now, once it is passed by both the houses, what happens? It goes to the president. Once it goes to the president, generally what happens in different type of bills? The president has the power to give assent, reject it, reconsider it, or even sit quiet on that particular bill. But for a constitutional amendment bill, when the constitutional amendment bill is sent to the president must give assent to the constitutional amendment bill. The president cannot reject it. The president cannot sit idle on it. The president can send it back once. But if the parliament sends it to the president with changing or without changing, with amendment or without amendment, then the president must give his or her assent to this constitutional amendment bill. And this provision was added to the constitution through the 24th constitutional amendment bill of 1971. Now, why was this added? This was added to ensure that once a constitutional amendment bill has gone through the rigorous parliamentary approval process, it should not be stalled by whom? By the executive. Now, why are we using the word executive? Because when we say the president, ultimately the president is acting on the advice of whom? Ultimately, the president is acting on the advice of the Council of Ministers. And that is why once the constitutional amendment bill is sent to the president, it is mandatory for the president to give assent to this constitutional amendment bill. Now, after the President's Act, after the President's assent, the bill officially becomes Act and the Constitution stands amended as per the changes made by the Act. The best example is 106th Constitutional Amendment Act, which provided for one-third of the reservation for women in parliament elections, that is in Lok Sabha election, as well as state legislative elections. So this is about constitutional amendment bill. Now, having studied the four different type of bills, that is ordinary bill, money bill, financial bill, and constitutional amendment bill, let us try to recall the important difference. Ordinary bill. Ordinary bill can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Financial bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Constitutional amendment bill can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Ordinary bill can be introduced either by the public member or by a private member. Money bill can be introduced only by a public member. Financial bill can only be introduced by a public member. Constitutional amendment bill can be introduced either by a public member or by a private member. For an ordinary bill, President's prior approval is not required. For a money bill, President's prior approval is required. For a financial bill, President's prior approval is required. For constitutional amendment bill, President's prior approval is not required. In case of ordinary bill, in case of ordinary bill, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In case of ordinary bill, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has important or equal powers. That is, if there is a disagreement between the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in case of ordinary bill, there is a provision of joint sitting. That is, Rajya Sabha also has important powers with respect to ordinary bill. But in money bill, Rajya Sabha can only give some modifications to the money bill. Rather, it cannot amend on the money bill or nor it can reject the money bill. But financial bill, Rajya Sabha has all the powers similar to that of ordinary bill. Even in constitutional amendment bill, also Rajya Sabha has all the powers. In case of a deadlock, in constitutional amendment bill, there is a joint sitting. There is no provision of joint sitting in money bill. In constitutional amendment bill also, there is no provision of joint sitting. And in ordinary bill, the maximum time the Rajya Sabha can sit on an ordinary bill is 6 months. For money bill, it is 14 days. And for constitutional amendment bill, this time period is not specified. In case of a money bill, certification of the speaker that it is a money bill is important. And in any other type of bill, this certification is not required. In case of ordinary bill, the president has the power to accept, to reject, to send it back, or to sit idle. In case of a money bill, in case of a money bill, the president has the power to accept it. The president has the power to sit on it. The president has the power to reject it, but the president does not have the power to send it back. That is, suspensive veto is not there in case of money bill. Why? Because president's prior approval is taken. But in case of constitutional amendment bill, president has to sign mandatorily on this constitutional amendment bill. Now, these are some of the important differences between these four different type of bills. I hope you have understood these four different type of bills very, very, very clearly. Always remember these four important bills are a very, very, very important question from your prelims perspective. Any question paper you take of UPSC, you will find a question on these topic. So please go through the video, make notes out of it, listen to the video carefully, and even if you have any doubt, please post those doubts in the comment section and we'll be happy to resolve your doubts. Thank you. So now, having understood about the four different type of bills, we will try to analyze few questions that were asked in the UPSC Civil Service Examination That is from the prelims aspect. Okay. Now, coming to the questions. As per Article 368 of the Constitution of India, the Parliament may amend any provision of the Constitution by way of. Again, the first thing that I have told that when a question is asked is whether they have given correct or incorrect. That is the first thing. So here they have given yes, correct. Okay. Now that is the first thing. Now let us see the question. As per Article 368 of the Constitution of India, the Parliament may amend any provision of the Constitution by way of. That is, in simple words, they are telling, as per Article 368, amendment of the Constitution by the Parliament includes addition. Yes, it includes addition. So one has to be there in the answer, which means B is wrong and C is wrong. Variation. Now, what is variation? In simple words, modification. So, yes, 2 has to be there. So, 2 is there in A as well as B. Repeal. Yes. For example, right to property was a fundamental right. And this was repealed through the 44th Amendment Act of 1978. So, all the three are correct. So, when we say amending the constitution, it includes addition, variation, as well as repeal. So, option D is the correct answer. Now, going to the next question, which of the following statements are correct? Again, they're asking which of the following statements are correct in respect of a money bill in the parliament. Again, here also they're asking select the correct answer. Okay. Now, this was asked in UPSC CSE 2024 prelims. Now, coming to the first statement, Article 109 of the Constitution of India. Article 109 of the Constitution of India mentions a special provision or special procedure in respect of money bill. So have we discussed this? No. We specifically discussed about Article 110. We did not discuss about Article 109. So let us keep it aside for now. Let us keep it aside for now. Okay. Now, here is the second statement. A money bill shall not be introduced in the Council of States. Now, what is this Council of States? In simple words, it is nothing but Rajya Sabha. So, can a money bill be introduced in the Rajya Sabha? No. A money bill cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So, they are telling yes. The statement is telling money bill cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha, which means the statement is correct. So, 2 has to be there in the answer. If you see the options, option D does not have 2, which means option D is wrong. Okay. Now, the Rajya Sabha can either approve the bill or suggest changes, but cannot reject the money bill. Yes, that is correct. Because Rajya Sabha has the options to approve the money bill. Yes, has the option to modify, has the option to suggest modification to the money bill. Yes, but does the Rajya Sabha has the option to reject the money bill? No, Rajya Sabha does not have the option to reject the money bill. So what about statement 3? The statement 3 is also correct. So statement 3 is also correct means in option A, there is no statement 3. So that is wrong. Okay. Now, coming to the fourth statement, amendment to a money bill suggested by Rajya Sabha has to be accepted by the Lok Sabha. Is it the case? No. In case of money bill, this is not the case. That is, if the Lok Sabha accepts the amendment suggested by Rajya Sabha, it is well and good. But if it is not accepted by Lok Sabha, is there a problem? No, there is no problem in not accepting the amendment suggested by suggested by the Rajya Sabha. Okay, in that case, option 4 or statement 4 is wrong, which means again when we see the option, already we have eliminated D. Already we have eliminated D. Okay. So there is no much elimination after seeing this particular statement. So what happens is statement number 1 becomes important for us. But unfortunately, we have not discussed statement 1. But just to recall, Article 109 of the Constitution of India. Yes, Article 109 of the Constitution of India outlines the special procedure for money bills, which states that the money bill has to originate in Lok Sabha and it cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. So this aspect that the money bill has to be introduced in Lok Sabha and not in Rajya Sabha, this special aspect, and also after passing the Lok Sabha, the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha for recommendations. and Rajya Sabha has a timeline of 14 days. All these things are mentioned in Article 109 of the Constitution of India. So, Statement 1 is correct. If Statement 1 is correct, B has to be eliminated, and C is the correct answer. Now, see, while explaining money bill, we missed out on Article 109. Now, what I want to tell you people is that certain times there are chances that certain things might get missed due to certain reasons. And another thing is we cannot study each and every aspect of any, we cannot aspect or we cannot study each and every aspect of a particular thing. In that case, what we can do is when we solve these kind of question papers, we might get certain additional information, and it becomes important for us to recall or analyze those things through the PYQs. And that is how the previous year questions can come in handy. So now let us see the next question. Now this next question was asked in the year 2018 prelims. This was asked in the year 2018 prelims. Now, why this is very important is, see, they have asked not correct. So, as I have been saying, identifying which is correct and which is not correct is very important. So, if you think that they have asked from the correct perspective, then you might go wrong in your elimination itself. Okay. So, finding out if they are asking correct or incorrect in the question is very important. Now, what is this question about? A bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains only provisions relating to imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, or regulation of any tax. Yes, this is correct because it is found in Article 110 of the Constitution of India. A money bill has provisions for the custody of the Consolidated Fund of India or the contingency fund of India. Yes, this is also correct. This is also found in Article 110 of the Constitution of India. A money bill is concerned with appropriation of money out of the contingency fund of India. That is, taking the money out of contingency fund of India. But what we have seen in Article 110 is that it mainly speaks about appropriation of money out of the consolidated fund of India and not contingency fund of India. So this statement is wrong. But still, we shall discuss or deal with the next statement. A money bill deals with the regulation of borrowing of money or giving of any guarantee by the government of India. Yes, this is correct. So in this case, the statement or the option which is not correct is option C. So in this next question, when we are dealing with this next question, this question was asked in the year 2017 prelims. 2017 prelims. Again, as I say always, the first thing that you have to see is whether they're asking correct or incorrect. So here also they're asking about correct. Now, let us see the questions. Let us see the statements. With reference to Parliament of India, consider the following statements. A private member's bill, we discussed about private member's bill, is a bill presented by member of parliament who is not elected but only nominated by the President of India. Is this correct? No, this is not correct. Now, who is a private member bill? Who is a private member? A private member is a member of the parliament who is not a minister. This private member can be an elected MP or even can be a nominated MP. There is no difference in that. But the only thing is this private member is somebody who is not a minister. That is all. So one is wrong. If that is the case, then A is incorrect and C is incorrect. Now, second one. Recently, a private member's bill has been passed in the Parliament of India for the correct. No, this is also not correct. Why? Because the private member's bill was last passed in the Indian Parliament recently was in the year 1970 and not in the recent times. Okay, so it was only in 1970 the last time that the private member bill was passed. So in total, 14 private members bill has been passed in total. In total, how many private members bill has passed? 14 private member bill has been passed. The first was in the year 1950. The first was in the year 1952. Okay, so it was in the year 1972. The last private member bill was passed, which means this is also wrong. So the answer has to be option D, neither one nor two. Now let us see the next question. That is the question that was asked in the year 2013. Again, the first thing that I have to say is whether they are asking correct or incorrect. So here also they are asking about correct. Now, an amendment, consider the following statement. Statement 1, an amendment to the Constitution of India can be initiated by introduction of a bill in the Lok Sabha only. Is it the case? No, the answer is wrong. Why? Because it has to be introduced, or the constitutional amendment bill can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. Another thing is, even a public member or even a private member can introduce this particular bill. So statement 1 is wrong, and option 1 is wrong and option C is wrong. Now, if such an amendment seeks to make changes in the federal character of the constitution, okay, the amendment also requires to be ratified by legislature of all the states of India. Now, if the constitutional amendment bill seeks to change the federal character, we know that ratification by state legislature is required. But does all the state legislature need to ratify it? No. Only more than 50% of the state legislatures has to do it. So this statement is also wrong. So statement 2 is also wrong. Now when statement 2 is also wrong, option B is also wrong. So D, that is neither 1 nor 2, is the correct answer. Now coming to the next question. That is, this question was asked in UPSC CSE 2013 prelims. What will follow if a money bill is substantially amended by Rajya Sabha? Now they're asking what will happen if the money bill is amended by whom? By the Rajya Sabha. Option A, Lok Sabha may still proceed with the bill, accepting or not accepting the recommendation of the Rajya Sabha. Now we know that this is correct, but let us keep it aside for now. Lok Sabha cannot consider the bill further. Is this the case? No. Now this is the case in what? This is the case in the constitutional amendment bill. So option B is wrong. The Lok Sabha may send the bill to the Rajya Sabha for reconsideration. Is it the case? No. This is also not the case. The president may call for a joint sitting. This is also not the case. Why? Because this generally happens with respect to ordinary bill. So what is the answer? The answer is option A. That is, the Lok Sabha may still proceed with the bill, accepting or not accepting the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha. Now, coming to the last question from this topic. Now, this was asked in the 2012 prelims. Again, the aspect that was asked was correct or incorrect. That is correct here. Now, a deadlock between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha calls for a joint sitting of the parliament. Now, what article speaks about joint sitting? It is Article 108 of the Constitution of India. During the passage of, during the passage of. Now, money bill, come to statement 2, option statement 2, money bill. No. During money bill, do we have joint sitting? No. Why don't we have joint sitting? Because Rajya Sabha has absolutely zero power with respect to money bill. So 2 is incorrect. So eliminate 2. That means B and D is wrong. Constitutional amendment bill. Now, do we have a joint sitting for constitutional amendment bill? No. Lok Sabha passes and Rajya Sabha does not pass. Then what happens? The bill is going to lapse. Why? Because Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has absolutely equal powers with respect to constitutional amendment bill, which means C is also going to get eliminated. Now, we know that joint sitting is something that is only found in ordinary bill, which also means ordinary legislation, which means option A, one only, is the right answer. So these are some of the previous year questions that has been asked in prelims from these topic. So I hope you have understood. Again, I repeat, watch the videos very attentively, then make notes while watching the videos, revise from the notes that you have made, read the standard book, attempt as much as questions and find out in what way UPSC is asking questions. Okay. And if you find any doubt, If you feel that any topic is not covered, you can post it in the comment box and we will be happy to solve those things for you. Thank you.